Hey guys, it's Donnie B, and you're listening to episode 17 of Eat It Up, Buffalo Eats Own podcast, and a very proud member of Audio Buffalo. Today on the show we have Sarah Walley, who is a French Macaron baker, or at least that's her specialty. We've had her macaroons on the site as a food porn, I think about a year plus ago, and she's even been a Buffalo Foodie, and I had the pleasure of meeting her, let's say about a year and a half ago. She's a very funny, very dedicated baker. She loves French macaroons and loves spreading the, gospel of French macaroons to Buffalo. They're delicious. I can't recommend that you go to Zillycakes or Nickel City Cheese and grab some ASAP. But we basically had her in the studio and just talked about how she got started. What is the big deal about French macaroons? Why are they so delicious and tasty? And a bunch of other stuff. So I think you guys are going to enjoy the conversation. Before we get started, though, I want to mention that we are planning a big-ass giveaway for later on this month. We are going to be rewarding our readers, basically. People who follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're going to be giving away 3 prize packs, a grand prize and 2 runner-up. And as we add prizes to these pools, we're going to announce them. Today, we announced that we have 3 signed copies of Vince McGonaghy's, if you may remember him from an earlier episode of Eat It Up. His book, Frank Bruno, Gastro Detective. And then we also got a $25 gift certificate to C-Bar. So stay tuned because we have, I think, about maybe 10 more gifts planned to add to this massive pack. So
Toast me in your face.
I saw that you had the one post on your blog about going to Lottery.
Lottery, no, you're right.
And so we went there, and Ellie's like she's a picky dessert eater, I guess you could say. And I was super pumped because I knew that is legit. Like in Paris, like that is like what everyone compares themselves to. And like some of the flavors like were just weird, and their salty caramel was amazing.
Yeah,
and
I really liked that.
Their raspberry was amazing. Like those two I thought were like lights out. But I had like black currant or black currant. I don't know how you even say that. The
Pierre Hermé version of that is amazing. And ironically, I don't know, maybe I should say this for the podcast. Yeah, sure. But Pierre Hermé worked at La Durée.
Okay.
Before he went off on his own. So it stuns me sometimes when one of the macarons that he does really well in his shop is not well executed at La Durée. I would expect that the place that trained him.
Yeah. So now he only has a shop in
London, Tokyo, Paris.
Ah.
I know. Don't worry. When I get the trip to London, I'll bring this on. They're sick. They're my favorite.
Yeah. But it was a little sad, I guess. Also, I'm assuming they don't make them there at the New York City location.
No, that's
they have to be flown in, right?
They fly them in from France.
Because the one I had, like the salty caramel, it was good, but it was like
stale,
super stale and cold. Like, really, really cold. Well, which that was my fault. I probably should have let them.
No, it's okay. I get that. I mean, part of it is that little glass enclosure that they have. It's not really an enclosure. It's just like a spit guard.
Basically,
it's refrigerated. You can see the cold air vents underneath. They have to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because otherwise you get maybe 4 hours out of them at room temperature. And
I just assumed like the turnover was that crazy. That
4,000 a day. 4,000 a day. My jaw hits the floor just thinking about it.
Did you actually go to New York City just to have them? On that one blog post you posted about driving down there, or was there other?
Well, his family lives in Albany, so we stopped to see them on the way.
But from Albany to New York City, yes.
That's amazing.
Pretty much. You would too.
Yeah.
Well, if you were like all macarons.
All macarons.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
crazy.
I actually had no idea about French macaroons. I saw pictures and I thought it looked cool, but I had no idea until I saw Jeremy Horowitz posted your macaroons on Buffalo Chow.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't even remember, that was maybe a year ago?
It was.
Probably
I think it was a year
and a
ago.
half almost. Like, and so I was like, that looks amazing, and like I ran out. And before that though, I had no idea like that even such a thing existed. I mean, we're pretty novice foodies, so.
Oh no. No, they're not that popular. I'm sorry, they weren't that popular in the States at that point. I mean, I had seen them when you're a bride researching things for your wedding. Some of us go a little overboard with how much we plow through bridal magazines, and Martha Stewart Living had a ton of pictures of them.
And this is even before Pinterest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you had to clip your own photos out with your scissors and keep them in a scrapbook. But at that point, I got really interested in them, and I happened to be in Paris, so I had them.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even have them at one of the famous places.
No?
It was just a random bakery, and they were wonderful. They were really good. And I remember thinking to myself when I got back, I was like, oh, I can make these. No big deal. And that wasn't the case. But I was really lucky to find a program in Toronto, and I went to the Bonnie Gordon School.
Oh, okay.
And took a class there.
So you went to learn specifically how to make French macarons.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's insane.
They offer classes in so many different areas of pastry. They focus on wedding cakes.
Okay.
And I was so impressed by what they do with wedding cakes, because I think you'll find on the local cake scene, we tend to pick up on trends that other people have been following for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe not just in cakes, maybe in a lot of different areas. But Toronto's cake decorating classes are cutting edge. Anything that is really popular now, they're doing. I mean, stuff that's breaking for the first time in bridal magazines or breaking for the first time in people's blogs, they're teaching you how to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was stoked to find their classes. I was definitely the only person from the States in my class. But they were very welcoming. I was thrilled to be there. They taught me everything I needed to know.
How long was is it like several weeks or
2 days?
Oh, 2 days.
Straight.
Okay.
Yep. And I found that it was, oh my gosh, just overwhelming at first because they throw so much at you.
Yeah.
And by the time you get home, you're trying to remember how to do what they taught you and how to replicate it perfectly. And the God's honest truth is you can take one of those classes, but until you come home and start doing it yourself over and over and over, you'll have batches that turn out and batches that don't.
Yeah. So, maybe a couple months ago, I saw Hannah, who's Cook Bambi.
Yes.
She posted, was it her that posted an article about the demystification of the macaroon?
Yes.
So, I had no idea about this, but apparently French macarons have this, reputation that you can literally do every single thing right, but for some reason it still doesn't work. Have you experienced that when you've made them?
Absolutely. I still experience that. I've been making them, 250, 300 a week for a year and a half.
Jeez.
Yeah, I absolutely experienced that. Even trying new things out for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I did some macarons for my most recent batch where I put a little sprinkle of chocolate cookie crumb on top, and they cracked in the oven. And I never have my macarons crack anymore. It's so frustrating. So, yeah, it's absolutely true. They're little stinkers.
It kind of sounds because baking is such a science. You think everything's super measured out to exacts. Is there any reason why they just sometimes...
No, there is. It's entirely your meringue. And I think that if you haven't done enough batches of macarons, or if you haven't worked with meringue enough to get a feel for knowing when it's whipped just enough but not overly whipped, adding the hot sugar syrup at the right speed so that you don't scramble your eggs, and then knowing how far to take them after you add the sugar syrup. That's, I think, the magic, if you call it that. The magic is in making sure your meringue is sturdy. If you have a stable meringue, you're good to go.
Wow.
But that's the whole secret.
Do you have a background in cooking? Did you just decide was macaroons your first real big foray into baking and things like that? Because I don't know too much about your backstory as far as
I don't have a lot of backstory for food. I've always loved food. Always. I mean, my very first visit to New York City, all I remember is croissants and raspberries at the hotel we stayed at. But I've been on Epicurious for years.
Okay.
I was probably one of the first people to have a recipe box on Epicurious. I mean, we're talking back in probably 2000.
Wow.
I remember making a steak with gorgonzola, crumbled gorgonzola, and rosemary for my roommate in college. And I brought it out, and she says, "There's a tree in my beef." So I've always tried new things, whether or not they've worked.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of baking, this was the first time I decided to just go at it and really, really try to master something.
Wow.
And I'm a perfectionist. If I can't get it just right, I'm not ready to quit until I do. So this has been a good test of patience for me.
Has there ever been a point where you've been like, forget it, I'm not going to be the macaroon lady anymore?
I think we all have those days in anything we do. Because I work in banking by day, and who can't say at the end of a long day when you come home after 8-10 hours at work and look at the idea of putting together 100 macarons, I'm done.
I can agree with that.
We all have our moments, absolutely. But no, everything challenges me, and every time I turn around, something in Buffalo or somebody around me just gives me a push to make me just want to be better and better and better all the time. And I can't get comfortable, because every time I look online, every time I look at Twitter, every time I find a new person who's making them, somebody is doing them better than me, and it motivates me to just push myself harder to catch up to them.
Is there anyone else in Buffalo that's making them right now?
I don't know of anyone else in Buffalo.
Because you're the only person I can even think of, like, that I've even seen, and they're at Zillycakes and Nickel City Cheese.
Yep.
Yes,
Nickel City Cheese Mercantile.
Yeah.
Both on Elmwood.
Yeah.
I know of other places that are selling them, but I just don't know of anyone else making them.
Yeah, I saw them. I went to some dessert shop. I forgot which one it was, and I saw them, but it didn't say Sarah Walley, so I didn't go for it.
Well, that was nice of you.
Well, it's a trusted brand at this point. I think everyone associates that name with it. Have you noticed, like, a rise in your popularity over the last maybe 2 years?
I've gotten busier,
for
certain. When I first started selling them, I was really excited when I would sell 10, maybe 12 in a week. I was like, oh my God, people are buying them. And these days, I don't know, I'm at an odd point where I have to figure out how I'm going to keep up with the increase in demand. I haven't figured it out yet.
Is the demand greater than what you can do right now?
I've declined things, yes. I've turned things down because I can't keep up with them. But I'm very fortunate to have a husband who helps me pair them up and fill them. And he's my assistant labor for now.
Yeah, because I think when we talked, I was like, I hadn't known how long you've been doing it, and I was curious if there's a my fingers crossed shop in the works or anything like that. Is that still the faraway maybe dream?
Yes, it's a faraway dream until I win the lottery and have the money to put one together. Because I won't just throw it together to have it.
Yeah.
I won't do it unless I can do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And until I feel like I can really put it together and have the right look of the shop, the right equipment to bake them to my standards.
Yeah.
I don't want to half.
How many can you make at a batch at this point? Like,
each batch I make has about 52 pieces, and it takes me 15, 30, 45 plus big time. It takes me an hour and 45 minutes to make a batch.
Wow. And that's start to finish everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, it's time consuming. But I love doing it when they turn out well and people actually enjoy eating them.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who says I had them and I loved them, I'm like, okay, I'll do it again next Sunday. Because it feels so good when people enjoy them.
Have you got like requests to like do like little private like batches and things like that? Not just for the stores, but like people ordered like.
Yep, absolutely. Some of my biggest orders have been for private events.
That's awesome.
I was really fortunate to get some really cool event orders that I called my mom immediately. I'm like, you're not going to believe where my macarons are going to be. It was really fun.
I saw them at where was I? Oh, the Niagara Falls market thing that they had set up.
Yeah, the holiday market.
Yes. I saw them there and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I set up a table for that. That was... I
think they sold out pretty quick, because when we were there...
I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up. That's one of those things where I have to take a step back and ask myself, is this the time for you to take this on? Because if you commit to something, you have to be able to fill the quantity demands.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, you can't commit to it. So I'm really strategic these days of what I say yes to, and I will say no if I feel like I can't. If I either can't fulfill the quantity or I can't do it at the quality level that I want to.
Because I mean, if the mystery, if one batch doesn't work, that
you're out of luck.
Yeah,
you're out of luck. I can plot out my Sundays. I bake all of my shells on Sundays. I can plot out my Sundays from early in the morning until late at night, and I can measure every minute of my day and plan for every batch to turn out. And if one doesn't, and I'm committed to an event for that batch, so I just have to be careful.
And you're are up to like 4 a.m. Yes,
exactly. You just quit sleeping.
That's insane.
3 a.m. You're like, is it breakfast time? I think I'll have a macaron.
Is there a flavor that has driven you mad that has taken longer than any other ones to like get down just right, or some that are harder than others?
Yep, some are really easy. Some really push me to be better.
Like what was an easy one? What was one?
Vanilla bean's really easy.
Okay,
you can't screw up vanilla bean. I mean, you can screw up vanilla bean, but I haven't lately. And vanilla bean's actually my favorite. I get really great vanilla beans fresh every time I make them. I get the Inniskillin Vidal ice wine to go with them on my birthday. That's my favorite.
I've heard so much about ice wine. I've never tried ice wine.
Get to Canada right now. Go.
Everyone talks
Bring
about
me back a bottle.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. Like I've literally only heard really, really good things about ice wine. And I'm a super wine novice. I know red and white, and that's the extent of my knowledge.
I don't know what's good. I know what I like. But
that's all that matters.
I love ice wine. It's thick and syrupy and delicious, and it has so much flavor to it. And paired with the vanilla bean macarons, it is heaven. You let me know when you get your first bottle.
I will.
I'll hook you up.
So what are some of the flavors that have kind of kept you up at night?
Yeah, salted caramel was the first one that really gave me a hard time. I did the caramel sauce, and that was actually the one that Buffalo Chow Jeremy Horowitz had said was good.
Yeah.
I was like, good? What do you mean just good? So I actually asked for feedback.
Yeah.
What do you think I could do to make it better? And he said, burn your sugar a little more and add more butter.
He's always very specific with his
and I
criticisms.
really appreciate that. 'Cause
Yeah.
if somebody tells me, this is what I think you could do to change it to make it better, heck, I'll do it. Absolutely. Yeah. So when I went to burn the sugar more, my sugar just rocked. It turned to crystal almost immediately. And I did that 3 or 4 times. And I said, I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I can't figure it out. And I was really fortunate because James Roberts from Park Country Club had said, why don't you add a little pinch of cream of tartar? I said, really? That's it? That simple? And he actually walked me through how to make a caramel sauce. And that made all the difference in the world. And I did. I took the sugar syrup a lot darker. I added more butter. And they are by far my bestseller now. In fact, I took them out of the lineup for the first time in a year. Ooh. And I found a note at the bakery when I got there on Sunday from like a customer.
A disgruntled
who
customer?
Was sad. Yes. So I think Karma will have to make a reappearance ASAP. But that one took a lot of effort, and the white truffle macarons that I made for the truffle dinner, it took me multiple attempts at that to get that one to work out.
Wow.
Because I had never tried to use a mushroom in a macaron before.
Yeah, it seems tricky.
It was tricky, and they're very pungent. I didn't realize how pungent they were. I took a couple of the tiny ones, and we threw them in a batch of mac and cheese for dinner.
Yeah.
Just to check them out. We did not shave them. We did not grate them. We did not slice them. We just threw them in whole. And I love mushrooms, so I was in for it. And I took a scoop of the mac and cheese, and I took one bite, and I almost keeled over. It was so strong. Almost god-awful strong.
Yeah.
I realized I just needed to cut back on my quantity a bit. But after a few rounds of that, I got them. They were good.
That's good.
Oh, my gosh. And they're expensive little buggers.
Yeah, that's something that is it gets pricey when you get into the R&D.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nuts. So I would say those 2 so far have been my biggest challenge. But now that I'm decorating the tops of them when I bake them, that's stretching me a little bit, because anytime you put something on the top, a macaron forms a skin.
Okay.
It dries, it forms a skin, and when you put it in the oven, the steam from underneath makes it rise and creates the foot. So if you put something on top, the skin will break when you put them in the oven, and it can crack. And sometimes they crack and sometimes they don't. So I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to scatter decoration on the top without the macaron cracking. I can't figure out yet what makes some of them crack and not others. Because when I bake them undecorated, I never have issues with cracking anymore. Never.
Yeah. Wow.
That'll keep me up at night for a while.
God.
I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
It sounds so intense. I have none of that patience. I do not. I can't imagine like doing something like that and putting in that much time and effort and then.
But you have patience.
I mean, I'm sure they still taste good when they're not right. Or, I mean...
But I would never, ever
No, I'm not saying you would sell them, but I'm saying that you get to eat them.
Absolutely. Yes. Someone gets to eat them. I try not to eat too many of them. I've gained too much weight. It's not going well.
I mean, we've run into that issue as far as...
Yeah. I imagine. I saw those photos from that trip to New York City. All of them.
Yeah, I felt disgusting when we got back. I literally felt like none of my pants fit correctly, and that I needed to just, like, put on, like, one of those plastic, like, jumpsuits and just sit in, like, a sauna for, like, 40 minutes and try to sweat it out.
When I first started making macarons, that's how I felt every day. I tasted them by eating the entire macaron every time. I've gotten better now. I just...
Do you have, like, a spit jar?
Yeah, I have those times too. Well, the truth is you can't be at the bakery all day and not have lunch and eat nothing but sugar-laden buttercream and not feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Sugar hits you really hard when that's all you've eaten all day. So yeah, I really have. I've definitely taken bites of buttercream and spit it back out just because I can't handle any more sugar for the day. I'll be like, crazy. I'll have a headache. I'll be shaking and I'm like, not another bite of sugar. Okay, just spit it out.
I think like, what was it? I was reading Kitchen Confidential, and Anthony Bourdain said that when he was in the CIA, he went to baking class, everyone gained 10 pounds.
Easy.
Yeah.
So easy. Do you know how much butter is in buttercream?
I'm assuming a lot, hence the name.
It's a lot. I made a carrot curd macaron as my last rotation. Yeah. It was one of the 5 I did. And a lot of people ask me, carrot curd, that's so healthy, right? And I'm like, get till you add the butter. The 3 sticks of butter. So good.
That's insane.
Love butter.
Now, I actually had an idea for the podcast. We had a couple guys come in here, Ethan and Rudy, and they brought beer that they made.
Oh, nice.
And so we had a tasting on the air.
Awesome.
I was hoping we could do that with some of these macaroons. Because this guy right here has never had a macaroon, period. Never had a French macaron.
Are you serious?
And
I'm so surprised.
So when I remember when we got them at Zillycakes when I tried yours for the first time, and I ordered. I'm gonna say I think it was around St. Patrick's Day, so I think it was the mint, and I think it was a salty caramel. Okay. And the flavor was amazing, but what like hit me the first time was that like texture, like how the top almost just kind of crumbles in like that.
It should.
And it was like because we were super careful, like we set them out, we let them warm up to room temperature. And
ideal customer.
Yeah, because I guarantee you there's plenty of people who just go to Zillycakes and just...
I know, and that makes me feel bad because I want to say, you're not getting the full experience.
But the texture alone, I remember being like, oh my God.
That's what I love about them. If they're right, the texture will get you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's part of what's hard about people having their first experience with macarons that have been brought over from somewhere or left out for a while. I know they're at Dashes right now, and I see them in the case, and I think to myself, are they at the right temperature? Do they put them back in an airtight container overnight? And, I would feel bad if somebody's first macaron experience was a stale macaron or a cold macaron, because I want everybody to love them.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was like a, oh my God experience. Like, it was like I understood why they're so hip right now and, like, trendy.
They're warm enough. Especially the ganache ones.
So, what do we have here in front of us? And I'll post this picture on the podcast when we eventually post it.
Starting from the ones closest to you, those are vanilla bean. Those are my favorite.
Okay.
Limoncello.
Ooh.
Then salted caramel.
Okay.
Then thin mint.
Ooh.
And then lavender.
I had an amazing limoncello experience in Italy.
You know, I'll tell you, my only fear is that that I don't have enough liquor in them, because I made them the first round and they were so hot. I was like, oh my gosh, really? I can't eat one of these. So I cut back on it, and then I was like, oh, now I can't feel the burn.
Have you had the bourbon and whiskey, or the whiskey ice cream from Lake Effect?
Not yet. Although I will say their holiday ice creams.
Yeah, the one I saw you at the
off the hook.
I saw you at the giveaway.
Yes. Did you try the Florian's hot tub?
Yes, I did.
It made me wonder what happens in Florian's hot tub. So I was like, I just got drunk off of a spoonful of this ice cream.
No, what was the other one? the purple one, the one that had like dates in it. That was like super. Port wine, I think it was in it.
Yeah,
that was.
I don't
like
remember what it was
super
called, but
boozy.
It was, yeah, they were
but no,
great.
the whiskey one is legit. Like, I think if you ate the whole thing, you would be. I mean, aside from just overload of sugar and cream, but the whiskey in it is so strong.
I did a Scotch and chestnut that was pretty strong over the fall.
Nice.
Yeah. I had a couple of fans of that one.
I have just recently found a love of Scotch.
Oh, you and my husband. Both. I let my husband pick out the Scotch for the Scotch and chestnut.
I've only had a couple. Like I'm still a noob.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert either. The peatiness of the one that we used just blended.
I didn't know what peaty meant, but I was like, as long as you'll drink this bottle after I use 3 shots of it for my max.
So let's do a little tasting here. I think we'll just split a 1 each, because if we have any more in that, Allie will kill us. Alright. I'm going to do the salty caramel, because I haven't had this in a long time.
I just hope it's warm enough. Does it squish at all?
What's that?
Does it squish at all?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it warm enough? Okay.
Yeah, squish.
I took them out a while ago. I hope they're come to temperature.
That's so good.
Oh, it's really hot.
That's how I feel every time somebody eats one. I close my eyes and cross my fingers, and I'm like, please still like them.
It's such a... God. I know salty caramel is kind of like a hip thing right now. Like a lot of like ice creams and stuff, but...
I almost feel like, as much as I love it... See, that's the one I'm afraid is not warm enough, but go ahead.
I don't want to put it in like a microwave or anything.
I almost feel like with salty caramel, like that flavors... I'm tired of that flavor.
Yeah?
I know people
Is that
love
why you
that
took the
flavor.
week off?
Yes. It was supposed to be 2 months off, but when you make them, you totally push yourself to do flavors that are just a little more out of your league every time you make them. And I think that the flavors that are in my head right now, I don't know if anybody else is going to be into them. I'm going to be into them.
So where do you get like your inspiration for something new? Is it like just surfing the internet or just everywhere?
It can be, I subscribe to a whole bunch of food magazines. I just love to read them. So it could be reading Food and Wine. It could be reading Bon Appetit. It could be looking for a recipe on Epicurious. It could be anywhere. It really could.
Yeah.
I was reading the menus for the dinners that were going on at Next in Chicago.
Oh, you guys are going?
No, I am not going.
Oh,
I have to mortgage my house to go. But they looked amazing, and I'm looking at what they're doing, and that puts new ideas into my head. Can I incorporate all these different molecular gastronomy techniques into my macarons? Could I, like, even at Nickel City Chef this weekend, they put berries, I think it was raspberries and blackberries, in a CO2 canister to make them carbonated. I was like, can I put carbonated berries in a macaron? Would it hold? Could I put Pop Rocks in a macaron? What can you do? How far can you take it?
That's so fun.
I'm actually working on making a vegan macaron right now. I've been working on it for months. I can't nail it.
That sounds rough.
But it's fun to try. That was out of VersaWhip, which is another molecular gastronomy product that is soy protein. So it replaces the egg whites. Yeah. And it's tricky. It's tricky to get it just right. You have to find something to replace the elasticity the egg whites would give you. And if you're going to do it vegan, you can't use an animal product. So I'm experimenting with all these different chemistry combinations trying to win. And it's been months and I haven't won yet.
Was there like
I'm going to win.
Was there like a request? Like, was there a vegan who was like...
No, not at all.
You're crazy.
Nope. Yeah, a little bit.
Because I understand, I see the vegan Twitter presence every now and then.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that somebody was just bugging you.
No, not at all. It's just that a macaron in its core is nothing but almonds, confectioner sugar, and egg white. That's it. Yeah. So if you take one of those ingredients away, I mean, you obviously can change up the almonds with a different nut, sometimes with seeds. Yeah. But if you take one of those ingredients away, you really change the basic foundation of it. So it's a challenge to me. It's an absolute challenge. Can I take away one of the 3 main tenets of a macaron and still have it be successful?
Do you have like a crazy like notepad with your recipes?
Evernote. I'm in the cloud now.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. I didn't know if it was like Beautiful Mind style, where there's just like a book and it's like scribbling all over.
Giant whiteboard in my bedroom.
Yes. All right, we're gonna try one more, and I think that'll end up too. Which one would you recommend between?
Well, the vanilla bean's my personal favorite.
All right.
Although I also like the limoncello, so you two pick.
I'm gonna go limoncello because
I love buttercream.
Yeah. Allie's gonna kill you. Allie will murder you. She sent me a text while I was at work. She's like, "Oh my god, I missed Sarah's tweet. Did you see what she said?" I was like, "What?" She's like, "She's bringing macarons."
Of course, I'm bringing them. How do
you
show up without them when that's what you make?
Is that do you get that from your friends and family? Do they kind of all expect
you know what?
that?
I felt really bad. I did.
A lot more places.
You guys are very popular now.
I was really hesitant to bring them to things at first because some people like chocolate, some people don't like chocolate, some people are allergic to these things, some people don't like that thing. So I would go to events and I would tell them, stop by, pick your flavors out for yourself. People are really particular about their flavors. And then people were, yeah, you're into it? Okay, I'm glad.
I'll explain.
Okay, I can breathe again. But then people would be disappointed when I showed up without them. So now I started bringing them, and I tell people, if I brought a flavor you don't like, don't feel obligated to eat it, but let me know, and I will bring you a different flavor in its place.
Wow.
So I can hit all my bases.
That seems like a lot of, keeping track of what people enjoy.
I can't help it. I'm paranoid. You put your heart and soul into them, and you just want to make people happy.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, sweets are the best things.
Cross your fingers, it works out.
Yeah, so this is really good. And when we went to Europe for our honeymoon, we stopped at this little town. I think it was Sorrento.
I went through the photos. They're on Facebook.
And we went there, and there's this little village and this little farm we went to, and they had homemade limoncello there. And I had this shortbread, and it was covered in limoncello cream.
Yes.
And it was...
Yes, they make a lot of limoncello in Sorrento.
Yeah.
We also went to Europe for our honeymoon and went to Sorrento.
Oh, okay.
We went to a farm and took mozzarella making classes.
Oh, wow.
And that same farm produced limoncello.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't buy any of the limoncello when we were there, and I'm still kicking myself.
We bought some, but they were really small bottles, and they went very quickly.
They were very small bottles, as was the olive oil we picked up in Greece, and
Exactly.
I wish I bought a bigger bottle.
You know what? We're kind of ghetto right now. We haven't cleaned out the bottle,
nice.
So it still has all the stuff in the bottom. We just keep refilling it with much cheaper and probably horrible.
It probably makes it taste better.
I hope. I don't
Good
know.
sediment.
Well, I hear all this horrible news about olive oil and how it's all fake.
I know.
Nothing's real.
I read the report. I actually went to the level of reading the factors of the chemistry.
Oh.
No, just the spreadsheet.
Just
the factors of chemistry that make an olive oil real, quote unquote, or an extra virgin olive oil, what it is. And it was really, really fascinating to see what the tolerances are. I know, I love chemistry.
Oh, it kind of makes sense.
Goofy. But I did, and I narrowed down I think there were maybe 5 brands, a couple of which were manufactured in California, and Wegmans is carrying one of the California olive oils. So last time I went, that's what I bought. Yeah, and then you can taste the difference, actually.
Yeah?
You really can. It's much more peppery.
I remember, the stuff we had on the farm was just the most amazing.
Oh, I know.
And, Allie doesn't like tomatoes. I'm going to out her as a horrible Italian that she is.
No.
And, that she doesn't like tomatoes at all. But we went there and they had, the best tasting tomatoes I've ever had.
Were they sun-dried?
No, these were
They were fresh.
Yeah, they were fresh, just sliced, thick.
Oh, gosh.
With the mozzarella there. And
So amazing. Hard to
you
think
have no
about.
idea, Tom. You have no idea how good. And, mozzarella even.
I know.
I feel like maybe it's just you're in the moment, and maybe things just taste different.
There's olive trees around you.
Exactly, right?
I picked one and ate it. It's not what you think at all. I was really unpleasantly surprised. I was afraid I would poison myself, and the thought occurred to me right after I bit into it and got that horrible rush of bitterness. What if I just poisoned myself in Europe?
Yeah, that would
How
be
do
a
you
downer.
get home
Yeah,
when you missed your boat?
that would kind of be a downer.
Yeah. It's okay. I lived. I survived.
Good.
I know.
Oh, man.
What are you going to do?
I know. So, where do you actually cook? Do you do all your cooking at your house?
Absolutely not. Illegal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, it's not illegal if you've if you've gone to the lengths of getting in touch with the Department of Agriculture and Markets and having them inspect a separate room in your house, segregated from your home kitchen.
Wow.
But you definitely have to put the effort into getting your room set up with the right equipment and washable walls and all that stuff. I bake at Zillycakes.
Oh, okay.
And Zilly has been incredibly supportive.
Nice.
I am so lucky to have started with her. But she lets me rent space on Sundays, so I bake there, which means that I can be inspected at the drop of a hat. I got inspected last week.
Oh, yeah?
It went well. Went great.
On a Sunday?
No, I had to meet her at 7 o'clock in the morning before work on a Monday.
Because I've heard that the inspectors don't go out on Sundays.
They do not go out on Sundays, and I only bake my shells on Sundays. I mean, I can go in and fill anytime.
Yeah.
But I do all my baking on
So
Sundays.
basically, like when they're all closed up for shop, you go in there and
and it's funny
around.
because they have a very open. You've been in there. They have a very open space.
Yeah, we had a cake tasting there for our wedding.
I love her buttercream, but people will stare in the door at me and like
really?
kind of peer in, hoping I'll come over and open the door, and I'm usually like, we're closed. And I've had people bang on the door saying, I just need a dozen cupcakes. Like, I'm sorry, I don't make them. What are you making? They're not ready. It's really funny. Well, it was really funny in the beginning, and then I was like,
Yeah, I bet that got
a little
pretty quick.
Yeah.
How did you reach out to her, or did you know her?
We actually met because I was doing dessert tables when I first got started, and I wasn't baking on my own. I was doing macarons at home. For people I knew.
Yeah. And
designing dessert tables by buying things that were produced by other people and setting them up real pretty.
Oh, okay.
And I went to Zilly when I needed a cake for a Halloween display and asked her, can you put something together for me? And we had a bit of a conversation, and I said, well, I don't bake. I only make French macarons. And she said, really? That's weird. Nobody does that. And we had a great conversation, and she invited me to make them at her place so that I could legally sell them.
Yeah.
At that point, I had done nothing but Macs for my friends and family.
Yeah.
So when I had that opportunity, I definitely jumped at it. But she's incredible. She's pro women in business. She's really supportive. I've never met anyone like her. She's incredibly enthusiastic. She has great spirit. She's great to work with. And I'm so lucky. I'm super lucky to have been able to pair up with her. I really am.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her shop is awesome.
I mean, does that help too? Does she have like a really nice setup and everything?
She does.
Everything that you need?
Yeah, it's perfect. In fact, the health department inspector commented on how wonderfully clean it was.
There you go.
I thought it was great. But yeah, she really does. She has a great setup. She has really loyal customers. She goes out on a limb with her flavors, so we're a good fit for each other because she will take risks, and I like to take risks. One of the flavors that I've been toying with lately is putting spices in my macarons, like ras el hanout, maybe with apricot and pine nuts.
Wow.
Just doing some different things that are out there, sweet and savory together. I'd really like to incorporate goat cheese into my macarons. I'd like to do rosemary and cornmeal.
Yeah.
And I have some really fun ideas, but she is always a step ahead of me. I look at her flavor schedule for the year, and I think I've come up with this brilliant idea, and it's already there. It's like, I thought it was unique.
That's kind of got to be like a little bit of like adding to the creative juices, because, I mean, just walking into her shop, I mean, there's like craziness all over.
No, it really helps because she definitely will. She will go out on a limb and do things that other people haven't done yet.
Yeah.
So it makes it really easy. And I think that's part of what has made it possible for me to take off as quickly as I have, is the fact that her customers are definitely cutting edge foodies. They're the people who go out and try new things.
Exactly.
I feel incredibly supported by her customer base. They're awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too.
If you like let's say hypothetically ever opened up a shop, do you feel like it would have to be? Do you feel like a macaroon shop has to be just a macaroon shop? Like, would it have to be a specialty store? Like, is there not room to spread yourself to other baked goods if you're focusing on macaroons? Like,
yeah,
because I mean, I noticed that with I'm never gonna say it right. Lottery.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Lottery.
real close.
But I noticed that that's really all they have. They maybe have like a cookie or something like that, but really it's 99%
here.
macarons.
That's all they have here.
Yes.
But if you went to Paris, they have a lot more.
Okay.
And Pierre Hermé has a lot more.
Okay.
And they are true French patissiers. I mean, the absolute top quality, most beautiful French pastries. And I think there's room for that. So if I were to open my own macaron shop, yeah, absolutely, I would move into that area. But you would not find cupcakes in my shop because that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I love them. I can eat cupcakes till the cows come home.
I was going to ask
so
you
much.
if you were a pro cupcaker.
No, I don't. I don't make them. There are so many good people making them and making them really
well. I meant
well.
I mean, there's almost like it's like the cake and pie people. Like, I feel like there's like, there's a team macaron and team cupcake. Because like all the time, not all the time, but I've read a bunch of articles where it's like macaron's the new cupcake.
Yeah, no, I hate that. That drives me crazy because I don't feel like they have anything in common. I think part of what's really wonderful about a macaron is they're small and they're delicate and you can eat them in a couple of bites and just be satisfied with that little tiny, pretty portion. And cupcakes for me are most satisfying when I'm desperately craving like a hunk of big frosting covered cake and I just want to shove it in my face and just get huge satisfaction out of that. It's different. It's just they're different cravings at different times and I feel like they serve both markets. Yeah. But if you went to any of the French bakeries that are selling things like this, you would find that their desserts they're refined, they're small. And you can buy larger desserts that are meant to serve a crowd. Yeah. But they're more along the lines of what a pastry chef does than what a baker does. Okay. And I say that there are multiple components that are all really perfectly executed and then put together. Yeah. And I think baking is a lot of having skill at decorating. And not just having flawless components, but then having to decorate them on top of it.
I'd agree with that, yeah. I mean, we went to like Georgetown.
Yeah, I saw
and we went to Crumbs. I think those were the two places. And it's definitely, I'd say Georgetown is macaroon-esque in that they're all about just a bite size and kind of like a little bit of a flavor and they look simple, like they look like there's not a flashy design to their cupcakes. It's usually a simple topping or whatever you want to say. And Crumbs is just the complete opposite. That's like if you haven't eaten all day and you want like basically a cake for $3, like yes. Yeah,
But that's think about it. This is the French way. And the French celebrate food. They celebrate eating whatever you want, having really good quality food, but eating it in the right portions. Yes. And being reserved in your quantities. So I feel like the macaron fits that really nicely, as do all of the pastries that those types of shops sell. Yeah. It's a celebration of having what makes you happy and enjoying it in just enough to make you have had it and be able to move on.
That's
I love that.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I don't live my life that way all the time. Maybe 50% of the time. No way, man. I'm definitely an overindulger.
I'd say I'm right there with you. Is there like a dedicated French macaron blogs like that literally just talk about French? Is there even a magazine? Maybe I don't know.
No, but my blog was supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
I didn't end up blogging.
There's only so many hours in a day.
I know. I have to make them now, and I don't get to blog as much. But yeah, and I can obsess over desserts like that for hours. Yeah. Like,
do you have any other like desserts that you have? I mean, obviously, probably you have nothing that's at this level. I'm pointing to macarons for some reason.
Yay!
Like you have. Do you have other desserts and foods that you obsess over like that at all? Or no?
I remember obsessing over the McVitie's biscuit cake that Kate Middleton and Prince William had at their wedding because I'd never heard of anything like it. I'd never heard of the idea of these tea cookies being turned into a cake by combining them with eggs and chocolate. So that was an obsession for me for a while. I went out there and I was like, where do I find McVitie's tea biscuits in Buffalo? Nobody had them. I had to find an equivalent, and then I ended up ordering some. And yeah, sometimes I just get in the zone where I obsess over things and can't get off of them. And that happens to me with macarons all the time. I got the 11 Madison Park cookbook, and I picked it up and read it cover to cover, and then I couldn't stop obsessing over the other pastries they were making. Yeah. Wow, that's one heck of a pastry program they have.
Really?
Yeah, so I get very tangential. My interests in pastry are diverse.
Do you have any urge to do any more like training or classes or anything like that?
Yeah,
is there part of you?
I really do, for sure. I can't decide how to do it.
Yeah.
I think once you get to the point where you've worked in a career for a while, it's tough to go back to school.
I hear that.
And I don't know that I really want to go back full time. As much as I love my pastry school in Toronto, they have a limit. They will do things that are very approachable. They'll push you a little bit, but they won't take you all the way. And I think you realize that you really need to go full out and go to New York for school to learn the hard stuff. When you get to a point where you can't find internet resources for what you're looking for. Yeah. I've been so lucky. There are a lot of people in Buffalo who are very advanced in their knowledge.
Yeah.
But
James, I mean, for one, is ridiculous.
No kidding.
Hopefully,
great resource.
Fingers crossed, he'll be here Friday.
Oh, very cool. Great resource, great guy. His wife is working on my logo.
Oh, nice.
Love her. And I looked at the option of taking pastry classes in New York on the weekend, and I looked at the cost comparison of actually sitting down and doing it and going back to school, or flying JetBlue to New York at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to take classes until 6 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and then fly back in time for work on Monday.
That is
And I debated doing it for the 6 months it would take to get the pastry certificate. And I feel like if you just bust your tail for 6 months of your life and really put yourself out there to just do it, it's done. And you have the knowledge.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I'd make it the 6 months.
That sounds intense.
I'm contemplating. We'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
I'm assuming that would kind of put a somewhat of a stop to your baking schedule, or at least...
I'd have to bake at night on weekdays after the bakery closes. I feel like your limits are only what you make them.
That's a great philosophy to live by. And that just...
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
But I really would love the knowledge. I get really frustrated when my lack of knowledge blocks me from doing something. Mm-hmm. If you go to Pierre Hermé, you would notice that their fillings are all ganache based, and anybody can figure out how to make a ganache online, but to make ganaches like his are an entirely different ballgame.
Wow. To
make flawless ganaches with intense flavor, I don't know how you do that, and I can't find great resources online for how you do that. I found a really good forum for baking.
Yeah.
Where you can find some good tips from some really great pastry chefs and chefs alike. But past that, I don't know. I don't know if school is the only answer. I just haven't found the resource yet.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you this earlier, and we got sidetracked. But I noticed that you had your macarons are featured in a Sunday Lake Effect ice cream. Is that correct?
Yes. They just called me today to get ready for opening season.
Yeah. Did they reach out to you? Or
They did, and I was so flattered when they did, because I love their ice cream.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I had been buying it at Farmers and Artisans in Williamsville long before they called me.
Yeah.
That salty caramel that they make is by far my favorite.
That's what's up.
Absolutely my favorite. And so when I got the call from them, I was like, oh, no kidding. I love you guys. Okay.
Yeah, we have yet to go out to the actual shop to try it like a Sunday or anything.
Great shop.
Yeah.
And it's in a styrofoam cup so it doesn't melt as fast.
Yeah.
I know how we feel about that. But it was really good to just go out there and get the sundae and sit on the picnic tables in the warm weather and have a chance to eat it and enjoy
How did you
surroundings.
Did you try it with your
No, I didn't get mine. I actually got the one that featured, I think at the time it was Zilly's cupcake. It was a banana cupcake.
Wow.
Because like I said, I love cupcakes, and sometimes I just want like really, really, really filling dessert. But the woman next to me was eating it, and I was like, can I take a picture of your ice cream? She's like, sure. So I snuck in there and got a photo of the sundae so I could see it. But she seemed to like it.
That's
she
good.
said, I'm saving the macaron for last. I said, oh, that's great. I didn't tell her. I made it.
You just are in disguise, basically. You're just like...
I'm like the mole that hides in the corner watching people eat them to make sure the experience is pleasurable. If anyone has a bad experience, I pop up. Here's a free one.
That's hilarious. Do you have any other plans maybe for collaboration or anything like that? Maybe
I would love to. I don't have any immediate plans right now. But I love collaborating with people, and I was really happy to be able to work with Jill Gedra at her shop.
Yeah. Yeah, they do some cool things.
She does some really amazing things over there, and the cheese that she carries there is phenomenal. So really? I was thrilled to have my cart above those cheeses. Really awesome. Great stuff.
I think we pretty much covered most of it. Is there anything cool and exciting that's coming that we should know about? This will probably be posted in, let's say, 2-3 weeks.
Okay. I really wish that I could say there was something really... Well, my summer flavors. I have some really, really, really fun summer flavor ideas that I'm working on.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'm ready to disclose.
Okay. When can people be expecting these?
They will be available in June.
June?
Yep,
All
absolutely.
right, so
I change every 2 months.
About a month from when people
May.
are listening to this.
June.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm stoked. I think you'll like them. Fun stuff.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming down here and
Thanks
talking with
for
us.
having me.
And thank you for the macaroons. They were delicious.
My pleasure.